Hey there, a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you. Here we are with the concept of clause analysis. So, what is a clause? So, a clause is something which has a finite verb in it. Well, that is the best way to identify it. So, this is your first step to make it easier for you. So, let's understand what is a finite verb. In this particular sentence, let's read it. I know that he is happy. Now, in this particular sentence, we have two parts. Which are those? The first part is I know, and the next one is that he is happy. But why have I marked them? So, the reason is first we have to mark the subject and the verb. Why subject and the verb? Because finite verb says any verb which has a subject is a finite verb. So a subject plus verb combination becomes your finite verb, and a finite verb becomes a clause. So first we have to find out the subject and the verb. So let's start. Your first subject is I, and the verb which accompanies it is know. So know is your finite verb. The same way, we have another subject and a verb. So here we have he, which is a subject, and the verb which accompanies it is is. So is and know, they both have the finite verb. They both are the finite verbs and they both have the subject. That is I and he. Hence, they are known as finite verbs. Right? So, because we have the finite verbs here, we consider them as a clauses. Still didn't get it? Well, let's make another table. One finite verb is equal to one clause. So two finite verbs will make it two clauses. So now it is clear that here we have two finite verbs. First is know and the second is. So know and is are two finite verbs. Hence, in this sentence, we have two clauses. Fantastic. So this is your first way and the best way to remember what is a clause and how to remember how to find out a clause. Moving on with the next step. In any sentence of a clause, we have two different types of clauses. It's which one? So the first one is the main clause, while the second one is your subordinate clause. But how to remember a subordinate clause? Well, a subordinate clause always starts with a conjunction. But which conjunction? Subordinating conjunction, or we also call it a subordinator. So subordinating clause always begins with a subordinating conjunction or a subordinator. So where is it? Well, that is the subordinator here. That is a conjunction, and we know a conjunction always connects two phrases, two clauses, two sentences, and so on. So, don't you think this is easier? Don't you think finding a subordinate clause becomes much easier than finding a main clause first? Because we know any clause that begins with a subordinating conjunction becomes your subordinating clause. Hence, that he is happy is your subordinating clause and I know is your main clause. Well, to make your job easier, here we have some commonly used subordinating conjunctions and they all have a formula to remember. Remember, we have done it in the conjunctions. What core? Yes, this is the best way to remember the list of subordinators. WH goes with WH words. A goes with as and as if. T goes with all the time words when, after, before, since. Then we have another words than and that. Then next we have contrast, the though family. What is though family? So though although, even though, though, although, even though. These are the three words, and even if. These are the four words which we have in the though family. Condition, if, unless, whether. Reason, as, because, since. Result and purpose, they use the same words, so that, such that, in order that. So in this way, if you want to remember this, we have a shortcut formula, what core. Wonderful. Come on, let's go with the next one. Now y'all have mastered to identify the clause and then identify which is the main clause and which is the subordinate clause. Don't forget, subordinate clause always starts with a subordinator. The remaining part becomes your main clause. Coming up next, a question is asked always. What are the types of subordinating clauses? So we have three different types: noun, adjective, and the adverb. So in this manner, we have three different types of subordinate clause. But wait, adverbs have 9 different types. So which are they? The first three are common: time, place, manner, reason, purpose, result. Contrast, condition, comparison. Contrast, condition, purpose, reason. We just saw it in the list of subordinators, didn't we? Yes, it's the same. Time, place, manner, reason, purpose, result, contrast, condition, and comparison. So this way we have 9 different subordinating clauses of adverb. You are going superb. And now it's time to check the steps to remember while identifying a clause. So let's get started. Here is a quick recap. The first step is to identify the subordinator and then the two finite verbs. So here we go. Let's mark the subordinators in the list. I knew that he is happy. When I went home, I slept. The bird which was in the cage flew away. So which are the subordinating conjunctions? First, that, when, and which. Well, when and which, where did they come from? The what core formula, the WH words. Remember? Yes, that, when, which are the subordinating conjunctions. There you go. We have identified the subordinators here. Let's go next. The next step is to identify the two finite verbs. We all know two finite verbs means two clauses. Wonderful. Come on, let's mark our two finite verbs in each sentence. Let's say the first. The first one is knew and is. Yes. Let's go with the second. When I went home, I slept. Don't forget, every finite verb has a subject beside it. Yes, there you go. Went has a subject, I. Slept has a subject, I again. Very well. Come on, let's go with the third one. The bird which was in the cage flew away. Be very careful. Which are the two finite verbs? Remember, a finite verb has a subject beside it. So, was and flew. But where is the subject for was and flew? So let me clear it out. The word was has a subject which. It is a conjunction, but also it is acting as a subject. We didn't get it. So let me explain it to you. While writing the answer, won't we write it was in the cage? So instead of which, can't we use any subject? That is, it was, that was, The bird was in the cage. Yes, we can replace the conjunction with any noun or pronoun. That means here the conjunction is acting as a subject for was. Hence, we consider which not only as a conjunction but also as a subject. Hence, was is a finite verb. Moving on with the next, that is flew. Where is the subject for flew? It's easy. The bird. Who is going to fly away? The bird. So the bird flew away. So bird is the subject for the verb flew. And hence flew is the finite verb. Still didn't get it? Oh, never mind. Come, let's go with the next one. And let's understand all the steps one by one. The second step is separate the main clause and the subordinate clause. Well, we have already been experienced. We are all expert now in all these things, right? Don't forget, once again, which is the easiest to find, main or subordinate? You guessed it right. Its subordinate clause is the easiest one to find out. So let's find out the subordinate clause first. I knew that he is happy. Yes, because it starts with a subordinator, it is the easiest. So let's mark it. That he is happy. It starts with a subordinating than. When I went home, it starts with a subordinating conjunction again. Which was in the cage? Which was in the cage? Shouldn't it be which was in the cage flew away? No. Remember, one clause has one finite verb. Which was in the cage has one finite verb. Can we have two finite verbs in one clause? No. Hence, we stop the sentence before the second finite verb. That's why which was in the cage will become your subordinate, while flew away will be given to the main clause. So now we are ready to find all the main clauses. Let's mark all the remaining main clauses. I knew, I slept, and the bird flew away. So in this manner, main clause and subordinate clause are to be separated. Well, this is your second step. Now it's time for the third step. So which is the third step? The third step is to identify the three types of subordinate clauses. How to identify the three types of subordinate clauses? Which are them? So, noun, adjective, and adverb. These are the three different types of subordinate clauses which we have seen. But how to find them? Another easy trick which we are sharing. Let's get started. Ask questions to the main clause so that your subordinate clause acts as an answer. Once again, you have to ask question to the main clause so that your subordinate clause can act as an answer. Let's try it. So which are the questions that can help us to identify the types? So what will help us to identify the noun clause? Which will help us to identify the adjective clause? While how, when, where, respectively, will help us to identify manner, time, and place. It's time to try it. Here we go. Let's take the first example. I knew that he is happy. Well, now we know which is the main clause and the subordinate. So here we go. I know is the main clause. Subordinate clause. It's easy. It starts with a conjunction, subordinating conjunction. Hence, that he is happy is a subordinate clause. Now it's time to try the third step. Ask question to the main clause. So the subordinate clause acts as an answer. But which are the questions? Here we are. What, which, when, where, how. Let's try the first. I knew what. What do I know? When we ask the question, what, do we get an answer? Yes, we get an answer. And what is it? Absolutely, that he is happy. What do I know? That he is happy. Exactly. Your subordinate clause is acting an answer for the question what. Hence, the answer is subordinate noun clause. And so this is the way you're supposed to write the answer. I knew main clause. That he is happy, subordinate noun clause. Isn't it easy? Well, it's time to move ahead with the next. There you go with the second. When I went home, I slept. We know the main clause. It is I slept. It's time to ask the question to the main clause so that we get this subordinate clause as an answer. But wait, is it that because we have when in the conjunction, we define it as adverb clause of time? No. It is only by asking the question we are going to prove it. Because the conjunctions can be changed. Instead of when, even if I put as and as or as soon as, it is still going to answer the same. So let's try. I slept. When did I sleep? As soon as I went home. When did I sleep? When I went home. Both are answering the question when. So even if I change the conjunction, it is answering the same question. Hence, do not rely on the question, do not rely on the conjunction, but you have to rely on the question. So only by asking the question when to the main clause, we get an answer as when I went home. Hence, it is an adverb clause of time. I'm sure it is going to be clear to you. Let's go ahead with the third one. So this is how, don't forget to write the answer in this manner. That is, I slept main clause, when I went home, subordinate adverb clause of time. Here we go with the next. The bird which was in the cage flew away. This is no doubt a typical case, isn't it? So the main clause is already marked. That is, the bird flew away. And we know one clause has one finite verb. Hence, which was in the cage is your subordinate clause because it has only one finite verb, that is was. So time to ask the question. Let's try. The bird flew away. What? What bird flew away? No, it's not answering. Which bird flew away? Wait a minute. It's helping me to answer the question. Which bird are we talking about? Exactly, the one which was in the cage, or that was in the cage, or which was in the cage. Hence, it is subordinating adverb clause, subordinating adjective clause. I'm so sorry. It is subordinating adjective clause. Isn't it helpful? Let's go ahead with the next one. So don't forget to answer and write the answer in this manner. How interesting was it? So here we have a quick recap for the same. We have seen that if the subordinate clause answers what, we know it is a noun clause. If it answers which, we get an adjective clause. And if it answers when, where, and how, we get answer as adverb clause of time, place, manner, respectively. But what if none of these questions get answered? Then what? It's easy. If no subordinate clause is getting answered for the above questions, then the remaining six clauses we have: reason, purpose, contrast, condition, comparison, and result. So these six are going to be the answer if none of the questions above get answered. How interesting. Come on, let's try them all. Here we go. For time, place, manner, we have when, where, how. For contrast, condition, and comparison, we have though, the though family, that is though, although, even though, if, unless, whether for condition, and for comparison, we have as and as, so and as, than, and so on. Let's go with the next one. The reason. For reason, we have the subordinators that we use as, because, since. For purpose, we use so that, such that, in order that. And for result, we use so that, such that, in order that, in a similar way, but with a gap in them. How does it work? So let's take a look. He will eat because he is hungry. So because it's a reason, we eat so that we may live. So that, but he was so happy that he jumped with joy. Look at the difference between purpose and result. They both use the same conjunctions, but in a distinctive way. Isn't it interesting? Well, I am going to make it even more interesting. Yes, with this amazing Santa Claus music to you. So let's get started. It's a Christmas time, so the Santa Claus. This is the best way to remember the clauses. So how to remember the clause? Here we go with the Santa Claus. So let's start in 3, 2, 1, go. What is as for noun? Adjective clause, ask which. How, when, where, for adverb clause of manner, time, and place. Contrast clauses though. Yes, you got it right. So we are going to start once again. This is the same song, that is jingle bell, jingle all the way. Exactly, it's the Christmas song. So let's get started with the tune. It is as for noun, adjective clause, ask which. How, when, where, or adverb clause of manner, time, and place. Contrast clauses though. Clauses if. Comparison subordinators will be all degrees. Hey, Santa Claus, clauses we will tell. Essence, reason, so that, purpose, and reason as well. Hey, Santa Claus, clauses we will tell. Essence, reason, so that, purpose, and reason as well. Yes, that's a tune, right? Well, let's get started once again. What is as for noun? Adjective clause, ask which. How, when, where, for adverb clause of manner, time, and place. Contrast clauses third. Condition clauses if. Comparison subordinators will be all degrees. Hey, Santa Claus, clauses we will tell. Essence, reason, so that, purpose, and result as well. Hey, Santa Claus, clauses we will tell. Essence, reason, so that, purpose, and result as well. Yippee! We have mastered the song. Now it's time for the practice of the song, and then voila, you will be ready with your clauses. It's time to answer few quick questions which will help us to solve all the questions in a right way. So here we go. Mona was very shocked when she found out his lie. Let's follow the steps. The first step is to find out the subordinating conjunction and the finite verb. The subordinator, yes, you guessed it right. It's when the WH word from the subordinating list. Let's go with the finite verb. We know finite verb is always with the subject, any noun or pronoun which comes before the verb. Yes, you guessed it right. That is was and found, which has subject, that is Mona and she. Moving on with the main clause. Now it's time to find out the main clauses. One clause, one finite verb. Second clause, second finite verb. So Mona was very shocked is your main clause. Well, how to find out the subordinate clause? It's easy. It starts with a conjunction. When she found out his lie is your subordinate clause. So now is your third step. You have to ask question what, when, where, how, which to the main clause. And you have to get the subordinate clause as your answer. So let's get started. Mona was very shocked. When was she shocked? Exactly. When she found out his lie. It's conveying the time. Hence, adverb clause of time. Very well. Let's go with the second one. Here we go with the second question. The twins are as cool as their parents were during their college. I am going to be a good parent and a cool parent. You see? The twins are as cool as their parents were during their college. Let's find out the subordinating conjunction. Exactly. It's as and as. Comparison. Remember the positive degree. Well, let's get started. The finite verbs are and were. Exactly. It comes after the subject. The twins are. The parents were. Let's go with the next one. We know how to separate the main clause from the subordinate. A main clause never starts with a conjunction. So here we are, the twins are. Can we include as cool as? No, it is a conjunction. Hence, the twins are is your main verb. Now it's time to find out the subordinate clause. As cool as their parents were during their college. This is going to be your subordinate clause. That's great. Come on, let's ask the question to the main clause. The twins are what? It's not working. The twins are which? Which twins are we talking about? No, it's not working. The twins are when? The twins are where? The twins are how? How are the twins? Oh yes, we got an answer. How are the twins? The twins are as cool as their parents. Wonderful, we got our answer for how. Hence, it is adverb clause of comparison. But do you think we really need to ask this how question here in order to find something? No. How works for manner. How never works for comparison. Then how did you find adverb clause of comparison? Remember, if none of the questions get answered, what are we going to do? It is the best way, the remaining clauses we are going to find out with the help of conjunctions. So as and as. Now as and as does not fall in the adverb clause of manner. They fall in the degrees of comparison. Hence, we consider them, the right answer is adverb clause of comparison. Very well. It's time to move ahead with the next one. Safina pretended as if she knew nothing. Subordinator is as if. The what code formula? W, H, A, and T. Finite verb. Pretended and knew. Let's find out the main clause. Safina pretended. And the subordinate clauses, very good, as if she knew nothing. It all starts with a conjunction. Now it's time to ask the question. Safina pretended. This time, is the question how working? Yes, it is. How did Safina pretend? As if she knew nothing. Hence, this time the correct answer is adverb clause of manner. Amazing. It was wonderful working for you and with you. I am sure that this concept is going to be the best one and you are going to rock it. Thank you very much for giving away your time. See you again in another amazing lecture.